Hi everyone, my name is Sarah Beth, and I just finished reading And Then There Were None by Agatha Christie. This book was published in 1939 and is about 300 pages long. So, this was actually Agatha Christie. She notably said that this was the hardest of her novels to write. And obviously it's not a Hercule Perot novel. Please forgive me, I'm butchering that name. But it's still a very famous book of hers. I actually initially bought this from Barnes and Nobles, but kind of got to exchange it because I got it from Goodwill for $1 and much better price, as you guys know. So I don't think I liked it as much as her other series. I was really enjoying the book until the very end, her usual Scooby-Doo third act reveal. That's when I started having a few this is just a little implausible. Like, the actual reveal is the last 10 pages, but the rest of the book is actually really well done. The best way I can describe this book is as a non-funny version of Clue. So the general premise is that there are 10 people. They mysteriously get set to come to an island, much like Clue. They don't really know their host. They're just showing up. And each of them, when they get there, in their rooms, there's this little poem that's 10 little soldiers on Soldier Island. And it basically says, one died, another died with each verse, and there are certain ways that they died. And as the novel progresses, everybody dies in the same way as is stated in the poem. And there's also these 10 little soldier figurines, and they disappear throughout the time, so that, by the end there's only 3 or 2 or 1. And I do think that, the only problem is the implausible ending, but the rest of it, quite enjoyable. I think if you really like Clue, you'll really enjoy this book. I also think that the prose is really easy to read. I think that if you're a little scared of getting into mystery novels, this one was fine. I think there was a point in the book in which I think I said to myself that the prose wasn't as good as I think the other books. It didn't feel as old-timey. It felt very much as a modern novel, despite the fact that it's almost 100 years old now. I just think that this is probably a really easy jump-in point, and maybe why there's such popularity with the novel. I do know that there is a mini-series, but I have not seen it as of yet. The only thing that I notably remembered is there's an actor that was in Game of Thrones, and Tywin Lannister. I saw him. So it must be at least a well-known project, but I, as this point, have not seen it. I just think that if you're going to read one of her novels, maybe this isn't it. I think that all of the characters are really forgettable. There's 10 of them, and she tries to split them between... there's not a lot of pages. 300 pages is not much. And also, my specific copy, if you look at the text font here, is quite large, so it was a really quick read. Like, you could get through 50 pages really easily in less than an hour. At least I could. I know everybody has different reading speeds, but me personally. So I just think that we have all these characters, and I can really only remember a few of them. At the very end of the novel, you have the few survivors. I don't want to tell you who they are because that would kind of give away who survives throughout the book. But these are the characters that I remember. There's the Rogers, husband and wife team. They are the maids. They have no personality. Really, nobody has any personality other than Emily Bent. She's an old spinster, and she's really religious, and she's fine with people dying if they're unmarried mothers that got pregnant. That comes into play, surprisingly enough. You have a doctor, Dr. Adam something. He's, he's pretty bland. I think that he just works really hard. He's a well-known doctor, and that's about it. Then you have, there's this General MacArthur, who's not actually General MacArthur. He's just a really old general who goes insane at some point during the novel, but not notable enough to remember. And there's Vera. She is an old government. She's talked of as really uptight. Lombert, who I confuse with Boris all the time. Lombert, I don't even remember who he was. I think he went to Africa at some point. Don't really know. Boris was a ex-cop, and he was basically the way he was lured over there, because they were all lured under guises, like they don't actually know who is luring them there. They just get these letters from different people. But I think the really fun thing is when you find out who it's written by, it goes U.N. Owen. And if you figure it out. It goes unknown, so they got lured by unknown. I thought that was very cool. And the murderer purposely scribbled that in. A lot of the novel, there's really smart things that were done. For instance, the house. They checked all around the house to make sure that all of the perimeters of the rooms lined up. So there was like no secret rooms, no sightings, which I thought was really smart. I would have probably never thought of that, because they think that a murderer is running around outside of themselves before they realize that it is one of them. So, I guess it's a really short novel. I think it's really enjoyable. I think that if you haven't read her works before, I think this is probably a really good jumping in period, despite the fact that I don't like the very ending. I just thought that it dragged, and it, like I said, doesn't seem plausible. Because it's after the epilogue is when you learn what happened. Because everybody did die. Spoilers. And then there were none, and then there were none. And, yeah, it was good though. So, good jumping off point. I'm going to recommend it, especially because you probably can find a used copy really easily, like I did. This is a very much well-loved version that's fallen apart a little. Maybe at some point I will bind it myself. Hope you enjoy my review, and have a good one.